Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1054. Hello, it is Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Cafe Anyway. Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont. Sip of coffee now. God, we had to pay a lot of money for that sound effect. We're at the last place on Earth, and here we go with the show.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I must disclaim at the beginning, no Haley. Haley got pulled into a meeting. So,
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Don't you hate that expression, getting pulled into a meeting? It seems everybody's using that, and life is really fleeting when you're constantly talking to people you don't want to see face to face. I'm going to sing a song that will save the human race. So, you wanted
Mike's Daily Podcast
to take a break. Slow it down some and have some space.
Daily
Give me my money back.
Podcast.
I love Ben Folds.
Yeah!
Did I mention that? Yes, this great piano playing is by Ben Folds. No, it's not. It's by me. You know it's by me because it's not great, and if Ben Folds was playing the piano, it would have been excelente. But I finally watched a video for a song for the Dumped by Ben Folds from their album Whatever and Ever Amen. It had that song Brick on it. I've seen the video to Brick countless times, but I never saw the video to song for the Dumped because the song did not really take off like Brick did. And I can't believe that video's 20 years old now. Yeah, it's 20 years old. People born then could be serving you drinks, practically, now. But the video is hilarious. It is wonderful. It is classic. It will probably outlive the Brick video. It is fantastic. And it is no surprise when you type in Ben Folds, the first video that pops up is Song for the Dumped. So it pops up like a Pop-Tart. So please watch that video today and have a good laugh. They do something that I didn't know they did. They actually sing the second verse in, I think, Mandarin. They don't do that on the album. Look who just walked in. Hello, my gosh, it's Madame Rootabega, and where is Haley? Haley got pulled into a meeting. Oh no! Does that mean that he was eaten alive by a meeting? Yes, he was pulled into a meeting and devoured. Oh no! Oh! Are you okay? I am fainting. I have the spells. Oh wow. Yes, Michael Master, I wanted to tell you that I once dated Trump years ago. Oh, is this before Ivana? Yes, Michael Master, we had a wonderful time. He took me out for drinks. I gently stroked his hair. It fell out. It was wonderful. That's not a joke or anything that really happened. Yeah, I think. That's wonderful. How about Ted Cruz? Did you date Ted Cruz at all? Now, Ted Cruz is in the cartoon, the podcast picture. Look who else just walked in. Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the party attendant. And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Roseanne Barr. Okay. Not Ted Cruz, huh?
No. That guy is crazy. He's in your cartoon today, D.
Yeah, cartoon. Do you know that? Yes, with another guy who walked in with you guys as you walked in. Ah! Sorry, I have that effect on people. Hello, it's John Deere, the engineer, Mike. Yes, I am also in the cartoon where we speak with Ted Cruz. I think the punchline is going to be something like, Ted Cruz will be something like, you're going to vote for me, and we're going to be like, what? No. Yeah, that's really funny. Okay, maybe we'll go with that. I was going to tell you guys that I have been addicted to watching Hercule Poirot on Netflix. They've got all the seasons of Hercule Poirot. That show lasted well over 30 years. That's unheard of, isn't it? A show to last that long, except for if you're Law and Order or The Simpsons. But that show was based on Agatha Christie. I think they did every Agatha Christie novel that was ever written about Hercule Poirot. He is a detective, and I guess it's sort of fitting in a sort of sad way because he is from Belgium. And I was watching that show while eating Brussels sprouts yesterday, so I was sort of, in a way, giving my support to Belgium. It was horrible what happened there. However, I must say that Fox News, all they did all morning, because we had Fox News running at Cafe anyway. Why? To blind us. Because we want to be blinded. Sight does no longer matters to us. So all they did was show that same footage that someone shot from their cell phone of when they were on the ground, and they just showed that in the airport. I guess just shortly after the explosion, they showed that over and over again, and then their big print words, the big font letters across the screen saying things like, "Obama won't do anything. Obama caused this. Obama there was nothing of substance." I know that's no surprise to you, having to do with Fox, but gosh, that was annoying. Oh, by the way, we've got an interesting segment coming up called The Wild That's Wild Files in just a bit. I was thinking back anyway, because of Hercule Poirot. I think I'd like to thank Kevin Smith. I'm not a huge fan of Kevin Smith. He kind of did something interesting with the whole nerd world. He's always been into comic books. He actually drew on a couple comic books. So what happened was he got really lucky that the whole comic book thing got big again, and it got into movies, and now everybody's into the superhero movies and all that. And it's $1 billion industry. He basically, I feel about Kevin Smith the way I feel about a broken clock. You know the expression that it's right 2 times a day, a broken clock. That's, of course, assuming that the clock is one of the old style, old face with the, hour hand, second hand. And I don't know if you bought the clock second hand from a thrift store. You should patronize your local thrift stores today and meet the interesting people that work there. They're devoted, hardworking people that are taking your used crap, trying to sell it. It's like a big ongoing garage sale, but they charge a lot more. Except on certain days where if they have the right, a lot of thrift stores are doing, it's Tuesday, everything is half off. Oh, everything's half off of the used stuff. Great. It's like I'm buying it for practically nothing, which is what I should be buying it for because it's used and it's crap. But what happened was Hercule Poirot, Kevin Smith, clock that's broken. Twice a day, it's correct, as the expression goes. Of course, the other 6 billion seconds of the day, it's wrong. But Kevin Smith was right about the comic books, and now he's successful, and he's got a podcast that's really popular about comic books, and he had some kind of TV show about it, and whatever. I think he looks like a guy who needs to grow up. He's as old as me, and he still wears these big, fat shirts about whatever sports team he's into. I don't care. He did, however, make a movie called Chasing Amy, and it did make a reference to Hercule Poirot in that movie. I must get my F8 ready. The character who she is at the beginning of the movie, we find out she's a lesbian, and then Ben Affleck falls in love with her, and then they have a romance, and Jason Lee gets all mad. But then Ben Affleck is, no, we're in love, and he thinks he's got this cool relationship because it's novel, and he's dating a lesbian who's probably never been with a guy, but it turns out she's been with a lot of guys. And when he finds out about this, and she hasn't brought this up to him, he speaks to her and kind of wants to bring it up, but he does it in this weird way where he gets her all mad, and she goes, why don't you just ask me about my past instead of being all Hercule Poirot? And that's where Kevin Smith made a reference to Hercule Poirot. But the David Suchet shows are hilarious. The old ones are really bad, sort of British television. And then as they went along, you could tell they were influenced by the Sherlock generation of shows. And in the last couple of years, and they actually finally killed off Hercule Poirot in the final one. It was very Sherlockian, the Stephen Moffat, Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman thing. But Kevin Smith. Michael Matthews, some people say I look like Kevin Smith. You do a little bit. I guess that's cool. When I saw Chasing Amy, I saw it in the theater with an old ex-girlfriend, redhead named Julie, who was very sort of a free spirit type of gal who kind of reminded me of the character in Chasing Amy. And we had some fun times, but good gosh. She was all into Tom's of Maine, which I don't get that Tom's of Maine toothpaste is disgusting, and the Tom's of Maine deodorant, you might as well just not wear anything because you still stink. But she got me into all that. She made me a vegetarian for a while. That was ridiculous. But that was Julie. And that's the name of a song that I will write someday. Basil's giving me poison oak right here. Oh, God. So he scratched me with his paw, and because when we walk on the trails around Podcastro Valley, he tends to pick up a lot of the oils of the poison oak, which are really strong right now. And he scratched me while we were playing, because he's a boxer and he loves to play even at 8 years old. And now I've got a little bit of poison oak starting to pop up on my hand, right on my arm. See right here? So the trick is, don't scratch it. As soon as you scratch it, it spreads, and then you've got a wildfire. You've got to resist the temptation to scratch it for like 2 weeks. Yeah, it's fun. One of the fun things of living in Podcastro Valley. I tried a new coffee place, not in Podcastro Valley, but in Fremont in the Niles area. It's called Devout Coffee. And the people there are really nice. There's a girl that works there with these luminescent green-blue eyes. And she was describing to me their whole setup about how they get beans directly from specific dealers. And they don't get like a mix of beans. They get just the beans from the crop from a guy. And they name the beans after the guy. And then they offer it up as a pour-over, where they put the filter over the glass, put a certain amount of grounds in there, and then pour the hot water over it, and bam, you've got your coffee. It's all the rage these days, and that is in Niles. And as she was telling me all this, I was transfixed by her beautiful blue-green eyes. Quite beautiful. She also has bangs, so I'd call her Bangs Girl, but that doesn't sound right. But they've got a bunch of succulents that they got from the place Sakiko in Podcastro Valley, which is not too far away from where I live. And that's awesome, because that's a little local business that's trying something new. And I think that's going to be a huge thing. People buying succulents from succulent specialty stores. Succulent specialty store. Damn, if you've not learned one thing from this podcast, you've got succulent specialty store that'll stick in your brain. Lots of explosives in that one. But that's run by some Podcastro Valley High School graduates. And I've spoken to the one guy there several times. Very nice guy. He's a fitness, has his degree in nutritionism. And very nice fella. So I thought I'd be more local on today's podcast, because the flyers that I put up around Podcastro Valley, I say it's a local show, and I wanted to bring up some local things. Like, I'm all excited about the mixer going on tomorrow, which I'm going to show up at, because they got free food and nice people. 4:30 to 7:30 at the Redwood Canyon Event Center, which is at the golf course on Redwood Road. It changed its name from something else. I just did a wedding there. Wedding reception for Robert Welsh of the segment Welsh on the World, which he never does anymore, and his lovely wife Christy. I spanned the music off of my laptop. I talked about how I opened up several music playing programs on my laptop and kind of jumped between all those to play the music using Groove, Windows Media Player, iTunes, and YouTube. And it turned out great. But that's a great place. It's sort of wedged in this little valley. I was actually there yesterday. There are a bunch of great trails that the East Bay Regional Park District owns around there, and I walked Basil the Boxer around there. We had a wonderful walk, and that's a great place to go. They're going to have this mixer there. Get style tips and see great jewelry designs at this free annual business gala sponsored by the Castro Valley Eden Area Chamber of Commerce, and I will probably see Amy or Ashley or something with an A, the tall blonde woman that knows all the people's names in all of the world. Very nice lady. And that's going to be fun tomorrow, 4:30 to 7:30. And then I also found out that Friday I have the day off. I don't have to go to work because it's Good Friday. And I work for a company that's Christian-based, Salem Media. So they said, hey, everybody take the day off. Woohoo! So I'm going to leave. That was my Homer Simpson woohoo.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to, which we're rapidly becoming a Simpsons world because if Trump becomes president, that was foretold in The Simpsons. Thank you, Simpsons, for making that happen.
Oh, Mike, they didn't make it happen. It just happened on its own.
What kind of voice is that, Madame Rootabega?
I don't know. It suddenly popped out of me. Oh.
The other thing I wanted to read out of this Castro Valley Forum newspaper was, we're going to get to that in the, what is this? Tomorrow night, also, watch the first episode of the documentary Latino Americans 500 Years of History at 6 p.m. and stay for a discussion as scholars Francisco Zemeno and Edwin Contreras explored the Hayward area during the Mexican period, including land grant owner Guillermo Castro, yes, where the name Castro Valley came from, his connections to Che Guevara, and part of the History Talks series at the Hayward Area Historical Society. That's in Hayward, right next to Podcastro Valley. Boy, we're being really local today. Boy, I talk quickly. There's also going to be a Easter egg hunt and a bonnet parade this Saturday at Kennedy Park. Doesn't that sound nice? That sounds so nice. A bonnet parade. Wear your bonnet. I don't want to make light of bonnets since I use it often in my expression, I'm on it like a bonnet. And people look at me, what sort of weird 1920s expression is that? I'm on it like a bonnet. I don't know. It's the only thing I can come up with. I'm not that creative. So they're going to have a parade at 9:30 in the morning on Saturday. And that's on Hesperian Boulevard in Hayward, right next to the Podcastro Valley. I am totally on that like a bonnet. For Easter, Good Friday, good heavens, good Lord, Ted Cruz, Jay Sekulow. Who's that last guy? I talk about him all the time. One of the shows carried by Salem Media. The guy is, well, he just hates Obama, hates everything he does. His show is based on fear. He raises money for his company, which they're a litigious company that just, they're trying to sue for anything that has to do with Christian-based values. Like, they want to, anything that has to do with abortion, they get up there and file a lawsuit. They file a lawsuit for all these things. On the show, they do this interesting thing where they say, hey, are you angry about this? Then sign our petition. And I guess they make a petition on their website. And then people sign a petition over ridiculous things, like telling Obama he needs to bomb the hell out of the Middle East and get ISIS. Because ISIS is, basically there's a country called ISIS and he can just bomb it and all our problems will be solved. It's that easy. All he had to do was bomb ISIS and the whole thing in Belgium wouldn't have happened. The whole thing in Brussels. It's that easy. Everything is black and white to these people. I don't get it. We don't live in a Western. We don't live, it's a complex society, a complex world. You know this. And Jay Sekulow makes it all black and white, and I laugh Oh, what's interesting about the radio station I work for is they don't even carry the whole show. They split it up. They air the first half an hour after it's live to most radio stations, but here we delay it like 30 minutes, actually 30 minutes. We play the first half hour, then we split it, play the next half hour like 6 hours later. That is so funny. That's as if we were to stop this podcast now and you would listen to the rest later. Oh, you're going to do that? Okay, fine.
Later that day.
There we go. Let's listen to the rest of this podcast. I just wanted to rant about that and about Ted Cruz, of course, jumping right on Fox. He was all over Fox News yesterday morning and this morning about the whole Brussels thing. He's totally trying to use that to score political points to get into office. What a stand-up guy. You need to watch the bad lip reading video on YouTube. Type in Ted Cruz bad lip oh, there it is. Watch it. You will laugh so hard. That's really what Ted Cruz is about. As Kevin on Addendum with Kevin pointed out, those videos are made by someone who has learned to read lips because he has deaf members in his family, and so he had to learn to read lips, and then he himself is deaf, and he wrote down what he thinks they're saying, and then what ends up happening is somebody comes back over and voices it with the appropriate Ted Cruz voice, which is like this. Hi, I'm Ted Cruz. And then what's interesting is that the actual lip reading probably cuts more to the truth of what Ted Cruz is really saying, because the guy is the fakest person on the planet. At least Trump tries to tell it like it is in his Trumpian, brash way. But, he is what he is, which is not very appealing to me and other folk, but whatever.
Mike, that's why you gotta vote for Roseanne Barr. She tells it like it is.
Yeah, Roseanne Barr. Do you know that?
The podcast picture today is of that. Why don't we just do that right now?
And here's today's podcast picture.
The podcast picture is of Ted Cruz, John Deere the engineer, and I, and we're discussing something. Have we come up with a punchline yet? Mike, John Deere the engineer here. Nothing. I oiled the mic stands finally. Thank you. Yeah, they're not squeaking today. Good job. If you want to hear the squeaking mic stands, make sure to listen to the last couple of podcasts. The last couple of episodes. You can do that by going to mikesdailypodcast.com. It's a wonderful place. It's miraculous. You can also tell us what you think. You can email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com, or comment on any of the social media places where we're at. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. Links to all those places at mikesdailypodcast.com. And speaking of your emails and your not so comments.
Oh my God!
Email for mail and your and not so comments.
We had a comment from someone on Facebook who said about the episode This Is Interesting, which we did a couple episodes back, where I was doing the This Is Interesting segment about the apparently Anonymous is going after Donald Trump. Yay. One thing about Anonymous I liked. And they did the hashtag something Anonymous Trump whatever, and that was their comment. That was really good. Thank you for that comment. It was a calm comment, but that is all the play. Oh, also, if you want to support us, go through that Amazon link there, mikesdailypodcast.com. Anytime you buy anything on Amazon, like earplugs, which I recently did. No, wait a minute. I didn't go to Amazon. I just walked into my Home Depot and bought a bag of 80 earplugs so that when my roommate, Clunk 2, is walking around the apartment making a lot of noise, but not blasting his radio or his TV, which I appreciate, I can block him out when I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, because I got to be up at 4. Because it blocks out 32 dBs, and it's so quiet with those earplugs in. Oh, it's so lovely. But if you're going to buy whatever you're going to buy on Amazon, go through that link there at mikesdailypodcast.com. And if you want to help us out through the PayPal and become an Inglorious Mike's Daily Podcaster and have all the characters from Cafe Anyway say a special greeting to you, that's at mikesdailypodcast.com as well. What else is there, Mike? So let's get to the thing today. The Wow, That's Wild files.
The Wow, That's Wild files.
We go back to the Castro Valley Forum newspaper. And this is a recent letter. I've read letters before in the past from their letter section. And I love it because I'm like, oh wow, I live next to these people. This person's from San Leandro that wrote this letter. Oh wait, the mic stand is still a little squeaky, John Deere. I'll get right on that. It's not like I got 80 million things to do. You want to dance the foxtrot, Mike? Maybe later. We still have to figure out how to do that. This letter is addressed, it's entitled, Got a Bee Swarm? Don't Call an Exterminator. Dear Editor, I'm a member of the Alameda County Beekeepers Association. Due to the warm February and early bloom, swarm season is a month ahead of schedule this year. That means that any sunny days in the next few weeks, hives may split and swarms will be on the move. They stop and rest on tree branches, fence posts, car mirrors. Yes, car mirrors. In Alabama, when I lived there in the springtime, my car mirrors, when I would get into my car because I parked outside, my car mirrors in the morning when I left for work around 9 a.m. would be covered in bird poop. And I'm like, what's going on? And then finally, I just happened to see through my house window one morning, birds flying up to my car window and kind of flapping against it and fluttering against it. And I'm like, oh my God, these birds see their reflection and they think that they're mating with another bird. So what I did was I got these reusable sort of these bags that were made out of like a nylon, and I would cover the windows with these bags, and then that whole thing stopped. I don't have that issue here in California, but somehow in Alabama that happened around springtime. Also in Alabama, pollen all over your windshields, just caked in this yellow powder. And that's when you realize, oh my gosh, allergies really is a thing. But that was the bees, though. Bees apparently are attracted to car mirrors. Interesting. Maybe they're trying to mate with the car mirrors? Their scouts look for a new home, says this letter. Typically the size of a football, the workers clusters around the queen. Don't fear the swarm. Don't fear the swarm. They became like they are. These bees may look scary, but they are not aggressive. They have no hive to protect. They are tired and hungry and will most likely move on in 24 to 48 hours. That happened last year. I was taking Basil the Boxer for a walk, and we passed by a tree, and there were all these bees around it, and I thought, oh wow, there must be a hive there. But more than likely, it was tired scouts swarming and relaxing. They are tired and hungry and will most likely move on in 24 to 48 hours. If you have a swarm in your yard that concerns you, please call our swarm hotline to the Alameda County Beekeepers Association. An experienced beekeeper will quickly and safely relocate the bees for free. Exterminators will charge you money and most likely kill the swarm, as that is what exterminators are trained to do. We need all of our pollinators. Spread the word and be on the lookout. Be safe. Be happy. Hey, we were talking about the Bee Movie yesterday that Jerry Seinfeld did. So we've got a theme going. Sort of. Boy, that was a stretch. That stretched all the way around the world. That stretch. I can feel that stretch in my back. But the fact of the matter is, that is fascinating that they will come and get those bees for free. I had an issue 2 years ago around this time where suddenly I started noticing bees in my house. And it turned out that the bees had formed a hive in my chimney. I called several beekeepers. I even called this association about it. And they said, oh, it's in your chimney. We can't do anything. And then one beekeeper was going to charge me $5,000 to get the bees out. I unfortunately had to call an exterminator because I had to get rid of the bees. They were flying in. I had several in my house. And then get in my house and die anyway. Because once they get into the house, they're not designed to leave. They kind of want to fly. They would fly towards the top of a window that was in the direction of where their hive was in the chimney. It was like they were trying to get back to the hive in the house, but going to the window because they could see the open air. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. I tried my best. I called several of these beekeepers, all wanted to charge me incredible amounts of money. I called the local Alameda County Vector unit, and they came over and said the same thing. Yeah, I can't do anything. It's in your house. I'm like, what good are you? And I was trying to help the environment and everything. No. But if they are swarming, don't fear them. But do be careful. Don't get too close to them. And maybe try that. Well, I think I'm getting word drunk. I've said a lot of words today. And I think we've learned a lot today. I want you to enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Or whatever day you're listening to this. Wow, that's wild. Next show, it's going to be Shelley Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer.